Hello again. This is the Vaillant Turbomax in my granddad's workshop, and we're just going to have a little chat about how you fill up or top up the heating system in the boiler with water when the level gets low or drops very low. So I'm going to apologise for having to bend down, but I can't get everything in to the camera shot, so I'm going to have to try and stay as low as possible. Now if we look on the Turbomax here, we can see like it's got a very good gauge, superb from the consumer's point of view, because you've got the green area, the needle and the red, and you've got 1, 2 and 3, so it's very easy to work out what's going on and what you need to do. Now there are two methods of filling up a combination boiler. A lot of modern boilers now have what's called built-in filling mechanisms or filling loops, and the Turbomax has indeed got a built-in filling loop, but unfortunately most of these built-in filling mechanisms tend to be very fiddly and difficult to use even if you're well practiced. So we look at the Turbomax, and you have a series of valves coming into the boiler beneath, one of which is the main supply and the other one is the heating return pipe, and the loop is connected between those two pipes, and there are two tiny little valves just under here. One's here and the other one's there. Now the earlier models were quite easy to use because you could use a screwdriver instead of using this silly key that was supplied, and most people usually lose the key anyway. They changed that to a square head valve mechanism, and again if you haven't got the key you're going to be right in trouble, but some bleed keys do fit, so you can use a bleed key if it fits to turn the valves quarter turn. So what you need to do is obviously check to see what the pressure level's like on the gauge. If it needs topping up to around about 1 or just over the 1, get your key or your screwdriver, whichever fits, and you simply turn both those tiny little valves a quarter turn, and as the second one turns on you'll hear water start to go into the boiler and the gauge will start to rise. Once you've got to the right level you turn both the valves off, and then if you've got a problem with the boiler or if it's gone to a fault code F22, you can simply push the reset button top left, wait a few seconds and the boiler will go through a self-diagnostic check and hopefully will come back on and you can have your water back. But because my granddad's no longer around anymore, made things a little bit simple, and we do this for every boiler irrespective. We always put in an external filling loop, and usually with some kind of pressure reducing valve so you can't overpressure the boiler accidentally. But this one hasn't got a pressure reducing valve because I'm normally around anyway. But just in case, if I'm stuck in London and my mum needs to top this up and I'm not around for a few days, I've put in a built-in external filling loop. Now these are great because if they go wrong it's a tenner, whereas if these valves go wrong and need replacing you're looking at over £100, which is why we don't use them. We use external loops on every installation or wherever we can. Now the great thing about this is it's external, it's very easy to see and very easy to find. It's got a valve on one end of the flexible hose and a valve on the other. Now I've changed this to a lever valve because it's really easy to use. You turn the first valve on, or whichever way round you do it, and then obviously when you operate the second valve you'll hear water going into the boiler. When it's reached the right pressure, turn it off and you can see the black needles moved up slightly there. So I've topped the boiler back up and I can simply reset and away she goes. So that really is how you recharge or repressurise your Turbomax boiler. If you've got one of the more modern boilers, the Ecotec, it's exactly the same principle, but they've done away with these two terrible valves, and you'll have two grey tap handles here which are going to be running parallel to the wall. If you turn the first one on so it's pointing towards yourself, as you turn on the second one, exactly the same thing as what's happening with this. You'll hear water going in, the pressure gauge will rise, you then turn them both off, push the reset button if required, and hopefully you'll be up and running again. So there you go. Filling loops, how to fill up your Vaillant boiler. Easy peasy when you know how.